So what years did you serve?
1968 to 1970, 2 years.
And when you first got to Vietnam, what did they have you do?
Well, after I got to my unit, what did they have me do? Mm-hmm. Well, you pulled out the buckets underneath the outhouses and you burned it. And you were called a burner. Uh-huh. At first, until they got you into the unit, and then you started going out in the field.
Right.
But,
and so when you were in Vietnam, I mean, how was that experience?
Well, it was every day. It's just very hot, 105, 110.
And you were in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
So did you have a big mosquito problem?
Yeah, well, we had.
How did you?
You slept with mosquito nets around you, and you took malaria pills. Mm-hmm. And supposedly, if you got malaria, then you weren't taking your pills, and they give you an Article 15 for that, a disciplinary action. But.
Now, being in the jungle, you had to go through like booby traps, right? Mm-hmm. Now, can you explain some of the booby traps you guys encountered while you were in the jungle?
Okay, we had the pits with bamboo punji pits, punji stakes, where they sharpened them up. If you fell on, it'd just like be 100 knives going to you. That would be one, and another one they had was a pit full of cobra snakes. So
they had a pit full of cobra snakes, and how did you guys detect those, like those booby traps?
Well, you covered it. You uncovered what was covering the hole. It didn't look like the rest of the terrain, uh-huh. And so, you heard something, and you go, "What's that?" And then you uncovered it, and you saw what it was.
But did you ever see anyone kind of perish into a booby trap?
We went into one area, and there were booby traps, and all of a sudden you heard a bang, and somebody went down, and no one died that time, but a lot of shrapnel on one guy's head went to his back of his head, and he had to be medevaced out.
Should they bring the draft back?
Different feelings about that. Yes, I think it would be good. Like I understand Israel has that for both men and women, community service or the military. And they all have to donate two years to the country. But then another thing about it takes away your freedom, and the government have a right to take away your freedom for 2 years, and you don't have an option. Some people get out of it, some people don't.
Does it ever bother you being a veteran that a lot of people are pro-war, they want to go to war, they want to kick everyone's butt, but they never serve themselves? Does that ever bother you?
Yeah, what do we used to call them, chicken hawks.
Explain what a chicken hawk is, sir.
Somebody that talks tough and, I could handle the gun pretty well, but they never did. They never volunteered, and for some reason they didn't get drafted, or they were a little bit older. I know several people I worked with in my career later got away. They had a deferment for the whole duration, which I admit I tried to do that too, but I graduated from college, and then they drafted me in '68. It was everybody knew. You just didn't come home and talk to people, and they say, well, where were you? And immediate years when the war was still going on, and after the war, you didn't say you just got back from Vietnam, or most people didn't have a whole lot to do with you,
So being in Vietnam, I mean, back then, a lot of people were anti-war, right?
Right.
So what would happen if you would have said you're from Vietnam? Would people just...
Yeah, they wouldn't want to. You saw some young girl at college, like I went back to college after I got back again, and you told someone, you saw some nice young lady, looked like she was a nice person, and you told them you were in Vietnam, come back from Vietnam, and immediately they wouldn't be very happy. There's a movie out some years ago called Love and Honor. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was perfect. It just said exactly the way it was. And anybody wants to see the way it was, watch that movie. Really good, well done.
So it was tough for you to find like relationships and stuff like that?
Then, yeah. Well, you just kept your mouth shut. Right. You just kept your mouth shut about it until someone got to know you, and then it probably would come out, and you say, oh yeah, I was there. And no one ever wanted to talk about it. No one wanted to say anything. I didn't want to say anything for years and years.
Will the war on terror ever end?
Probably not. Probably not for a long time, because there's so many people that believe in religious extremism, and they believe everybody has to be that religion. In the end, everybody has to be that religion. As long as they still believe that way, I guess it will go on forever, because that's what it's about.
What are your thoughts on the NFL players kneeling down?
If they have a protest, they should find some other way to express their feelings. You don't mess with the Star Spangled Banner. You don't take a banner into a church. You don't do that. I always thought that the Star Spangled Banner is rather sacred, and there's so many other ways they could see what their grievances are.
Now, speaking about the NFL again, now one of the Roger Goodell, he stated that all players should stand. Now, do you think he said that because they're hurting kind of financially from the protest?
Yes.
So
exactly.
It's about money.
It's all about money, sure. He didn't really know how to respond at first, and then it got to the point where a lot of people were saying negative things about the NFL. And I think he responded, okay, and then he talked to Jerry Jones, and I think Trump called Jerry Jones, and it all went in together, and then they said, oh, no more. But, the NBA, basketball, they don't allow it. None of these other sports allow it. So, and they even tell them how to dress. NBA tells them how to dress on the sidelines.
Are people in the service underpaid?
I don't think they have too much now. I think they were then. I mean, they were just going to increase the pay when I got out.
Well, compared to like politicians and people that work in Congress, they're getting lots of money, lots of benefits.
Yeah.
Compared to them, should it be the opposite at least? At least.
Well, the kind of money that they make in Congress is ridiculous, and they all think they're underpaid, and they don't even work on Fridays, and a lot of times they don't even show up for votes.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous.
Is the homeless population bad there?
It seems to be. I drive down 16th, and you seem to see a lot of homeless people. I don't know their stories. I don't know if there are any veterans. I don't understand why any veteran has to be homeless in our country. They should be taken care of. I mean, they help take care of us, the country. When they asked, they called. We didn't go to Canada. We served. We did what we had to do, and then now to say that we're down on our luck and we have to be homeless, that's ridiculous.
What are your thoughts on the government in general on the veterans' resources? Have they been fair? Have they been not so great?
Well, I go to Fresno, the VA in Fresno, and I've been treated very well there. And then we have a clinic here in Merced, like a doctor's office, and they have a doctor there. I've been treated fairly well. I don't know if there's problems somewhere, people should just be given a card so they could go somewhere else, go to another doctor or hospital.
Back then, people that served were underpaid then? With their life.
Oh, when I was in, yeah. $100 a month.
How much?
$100 a month.
How would you get that money?
They'd pay you there in Vietnam, and what they called it, funny money. It was there was a name for it. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't real money. It wasn't American money. They didn't put dollars out in Vietnam. They paid this it looked like play money. And you could go, if you were lucky enough to find a place where there's a snack bar or something, you could go in there and spend some money, buy a beer or something.
So what did you do with your money?
Sent most of it home. I got a money order every.
Did this go to your mother? Did this go to?
I sent it to my mom, and she put it in the bag for me, and I had like $3,500 when I came home, which was a lot of money then.
Being in Vietnam, do you ever have nightmares?
No, I don't. I know a lot of people that were in line companies who were out there all the time, night and day alike, and on guard duty all night long, and a lot of combat. I know they did, yeah. And I think even Iraq, from what I heard, Iraq was probably even worse than Vietnam was, as far as people coming back with problems.
When you first came back to America, I mean, how was the feeling when you stepped foot on American soil?
Like I was never there. Felt like I was never there. It was like another life.
But it was a great feeling, right? I mean, it was like...
Yeah, and I came back from Cameron Bay. It's an area where the planes came in, and it wasn't too far away, and they had a big arch, and it said, "This way home." And that was kind of a good feeling, you know,
Right.
because I never thought I would leave. I never thought I'd make it.
You love the American flag,
Yeah.
right? You take pride in the American flag?
Well, it stands for something. It's just not an American flag. It stands for everything our forefathers ever did for us. I mean, can you imagine a group of people actually devising a constitution to give the power to the people? You don't see that anywhere today. Usually a dictator, or they're going to tell people how to live, and what system to live under, and that wasn't really done. And our history, I know that there's a lot of mistakes, but what people attempt to free the slaves, we brother against brother, people against people, to a horrible war, terrible, horrible war. The Civil War was. And then we survived that. But with all that, maybe there's been some mistakes, but it's still the greatest country in the world, no doubt about it.